instead of engaging youth, can we also become a thought leader? Now, what does thought leader mean? Can we be a pit stop? You're going for a road trip, you see a petrol bunk, there are restrooms, there is hotel. That's the place you stop, more than where you get only one service. So can Youth for Seva be such a pit stop for volunteering? Can we have tools, resources? Can we also have platforms where different people like you come together to share ideas and you only don't do what we just keep telling you to do? That is what Youth for Seva has always been about. And the conclave itself that you see is a byproduct of such a thought process that Youth for Seva needs to be a thought leader. So in the first corporate volunteering conclave, which was there in the same venue last year in March, I think many of you were even a part of it, we released a white paper on right way to leverage corporate volunteering. It was a benchmarking study which shared the best practices of many corporates. So I was happy when Samarpan presented here before. They gave a call that any of you want to come and join with us. That collaborative effort is what is needed today. Because the NGO space is not where, you're competing with each other, but you complement each other because our purpose is same. So this year when we thought of what we should do, like a lot of you shared in the morning, we realized that the whole process of volunteering and corporate giving has matured so much. We all quoted that we have moved from, just engaging in events to a more long-term and deeper engagement. So we knew that people are now taking to the bill well, the CSR rules well, and they might have recommendations. We are a democracy, right? The CSR bill came, but we all have thoughts about it, and we didn't get a platform till today to express. So we thought we'll do a participatory study, ask people what do they think should be parts of the bill and the process itself. And this study is now going to be presented to the Ministry of Corporate Affairs and to Self for Society, and we hope that the suggestions and recommendations are considered by them. So, while we were doing this study, we had some very interesting statistics which I would like to share with you. A lot of analysis suggested that the compliance with the provisions of the clause has been steadily improving over the last 5 years, with 95 to 99% of companies actually complying with the procedures, which is a great mark actually, 95 to 99. More interestingly, there is a CSR tracker 2017 which tracked 1,522 companies which were eligible for the act, and it showed a 92% spends up from 80% in 2015. So again, 80 to 92% is huge. I was thinking when I did the study that it might be 60 to 70. Similarly, a KPMG report suggests that 22 of the top 100 companies spent twice as money as they spent in the previous year, and it's all more than 2%. So it's not just because it is mandated that people spend the 2%, people actually want to spend more than that. So this is what made us feel that we have to go back to all of you and ask you what else do you want to see as part of this. So this is a very comprehensive study, and there are details which we will be sending out to the Ministry of Corporate Affairs. But since we are all co-creators, this is a term which is being used in all management institutes nowadays. We are not creating anything, we are all co-creators, we do it together. So we want to present the highlights of the study in front of all of you today. So we did the study under various headings. So I will just be presenting one-on-one and the highlights. If any of you were not able to give your points or suggestions as part of the study, please feel free to reach out to any YFS member at the end of today or anytime, or send us a mail and we will make a point to include that in the study. So on the structure of the CSR committee, processes and board, there was a unanimous opinion of all companies that no change is required in the structure of either the CSR committee, the processes, or the corpus that is required. So in terms of the focus areas of CSR, the companies overwhelmingly agreed that no provision should be made mandatory, and along with the areas, there should be some sub-areas that should be mentioned. For example, one of the organizations that we talked to said they were very passionate about creating a butterfly park to save, species of butterflies. We are thinking about everybody else, so why not butterflies? Everybody has a passionate cause. I was just telling today somebody in the morning that Amala, who is a famous actress in Hyderabad, when I once went to meet her in Blue Cross, which is for animals, people there were not killing a mosquito, and they said, Madam doesn't like if we kill animals, and animals included mosquitoes. So everybody has a passionate cause, so why not butterflies? So people wanted to create a butterfly park, but they were not sure if it is in the government stipulation and maybe treated as part of the 2% profit. So people want more clarity on what the sub-areas could be. And there was another unanimous opinion that environmental sustainability itself, which is the most important aspect of the ecosystem, should be made mandatory and companies should be obligated to spend towards it. So the next heading that we asked people about was about the contribution to Prime Minister's Relief Fund. Again, people had mixed opinions, but some of them felt very strongly that it was more an escape clause that dissuades volunteering in a way because people just give the money and forget about it. And they didn't feel the provision should be scrapped, but they thought that the law should insist the companies to validate the contribution. And probably a better option will be that the PM Relief Fund is an option in case of disaster relief and rehabilitation, but not at all times. So we next asked about corporate volunteering, because that is what is more important to Youth for Seva and what all of us are gathered for today. Money, yes, but how many of us are here to donate time? So people felt that although the law and subsequent circulars have kind of superficially touched upon corporate volunteering, a general circular exclusively on corporate volunteering engagement, or at least a subclause in section 135 should be added. Personally, from Youth for Seva, we were most happiest about this part of the study because people felt that volunteering engagement was actually important, which was not the same probably when we started Youth for Seva 10 years ago, when we used to go to NGOs and they would say, can you give my current bill or can you give me some infrastructure? Because the very concept of people saying we'll go donate time was new. Similarly, employee volunteering, they wanted clear guidance also on pro bono. If the company is interested in doing pro bono volunteering anything, can it be included as part of section 135? And most people we talked to felt that employee volunteering has to be actually made mandatory, just like giving 2% of profits has been. The other question we asked about was the focus on local areas, because there was a clause on proximity of where your project should be implemented. Most people felt that they should go beyond their proximity, because otherwise this inhibits companies from actually supporting work beyond their backyard. Especially people, we are sitting in Electronic City, and companies we spoke to here and said, in this SEZ radius, if there is something, and all companies are going and attacking the same school, you see too much of an overwhelming response there. So that's another thing that people felt the focus has to move beyond local areas. About spending more than 2%, there was a common liking towards incentivizing, recognizing and promoting the companies that actually spent more than the stipulated 2%. Not really just to recognize and pat their backs, but so that it could motivate other companies to follow suit and do the same. Also, they said that spending internally to set up the CSR executive wing itself. Most of the companies even today don't have full-time employees. There are HR people who handle the CSR work. So to encourage the companies to spend on setting up a CSR team, they felt that should be part of the, again, clause. On CSR funding itself, people felt capacity building. I know a lot of NGOs will agree here. All of us have been struggling for this. If I have to train my employees, where do I get the money from? CSR Rec doesn't allow it. So most NGOs unanimously expressed, including the corporates, that to train their employee volunteers and for NGOs, capacity building should be considered as a part of this act. And they also felt that a mandated percentage of funds should be assigned to rural areas. And the other input which came was that 5% limit on the administrative expenses must be reviewed and clarified so that this does not restrict the non-profit expenditures to unreasonable limits. I think we had a few other additional inputs than the topics we actually asked. One of them said that there was a lack of media or no media coverage of CSR practices of companies, which has actually failed to connect the program with citizens nationwide. Self for Society, the app, because of logging, might solve some of it, but we would hope to see more on that. And they also felt there should be more strict governance to see that the corporates spend the stipulated 2%. Most people also felt the need for an umbrella organization, an overarching body that could help guide and pool the resources of all the like-minded SMEs to translate into more effective contribution. Interestingly, I think this platform was called today, there was a networking time during tea, lunch. We gave you more time so that you network with each other and there are more collaborations going forward. And this had come as one of the other strong suggestions that collaborations between companies must be facilitated by the government. For example, in case of something like Swachh Bharat, all of us are doing very piecemeal or standalone efforts. But if we could combine it together, there would be more coherent work. And corporates also must focus on areas where there is larger need, and people felt the government should help open the eyes of people in this regard so that people will know where to donate towards. One of the thoughts which came from a few people, so we thought we'll present it here, is that focus of companies is still mostly on brand building and less towards long-term sustainable projects. So there could be a provision to be created to encourage long-term sustainable projects. That could be another value add. So we talked to a lot of industries and NGOs across the spectrum. There were veteran practitioners, there were those entering the fray. So varied ones. Still, if you felt you have more suggestions that you're feeling today after hearing to everybody, or you missed out before, you've still not missed the bus, send them to us and we will include them in the proposal.